handing over to Kaija Valdmaa now to introduce the piloting program itself and to introduce the study about data access in Europe.
Thank you, Georg. So do you see my slides? I hope you see them.
Yes, we see your slides.
Oh, great. So thank you, Georg, for the introduction. So I will go straight into giving you an overview or a summary of the main activities that we have had last year with the piloting program. And then I will also talk a little bit about the parallel activity that we have led here in Elering regarding the study, a market needs study, where we, besides the pilot, we tried to get into contact with more companies and energy services who want to access energy data and really to understand what are their problems with data access and how to make it easier for them in the end. So on this slide, you can also see the other grid operators, European grid operators on the left side that have supported us in the piloting activities and also in the wider initiative of opening up energy data in Europe. Starting with the piloting program. So this has addressed Europe-wide pilots of innovative energy products and services that need access to cross-border metering data. So it's not only metering data, because in some of European countries, it's already possible to access the data. But in the pilots, we tried to demo also cross-border data access. And the piloting program had actually two main goals. So first of all, to understand what businesses and services need energy data and what are their problems. So what is their real pain with accessing this data? And secondly, together with the other grid operators from Europe, to develop a secure and reliable energy data access solution for Europe. These are the pilots that we selected in the beginning of last year, or in spring last year. So we have companies that represent renewable energy and certificate trading platforms like WePower, Alertis, Siemens Energy, FlexiDAO, and Becor. Then we have energy monitoring and calculation, smart management of building solutions represented by Dexma and RA Technology. Then we have a couple of integration simplifiers. So these are the companies which actually have benefited in the situation that data is locked and develop their solutions to provide access to those parties who really want to access the data. And then we also had a renewable energy investment calculator named Sunly in the piloting program. So during this program, Elering offered a piloting environment in Amazon Web Services with mock metering data and also test users. And we also offered consultation and technical support for the pilots. And the piloting partners, so they could test their solutions in the piloting environment in a secure environment. So with test and mock test users and mock data, they could also demonstrate their pilots on a European scale and collaborate with European TSOs and DSOs. This is the timeline of the activities of the piloting program. So in April, we announced the competition. In May, we selected 10 pilots. Then in the end of May and beginning of June, we did some technical and public kickoffs. And then during during summer and autumn and winter last year, we did the real technical integrations and also some webinars, workshops, and a lot of communication through social media. Besides, so in parallel of this piloting program, we also started to put together the report about market feedback. And now I will continue with this study. So, as said, in the piloting program, we got applications from 24 European companies from all over Europe. But we saw that we actually need more. So we need to understand better who are the companies and who are what kind of services need access to energy data. And actually, I have to say, every time when I've been talking about the SFeed, the solution that we have here in Estonia, which enables access to metering data to third parties, all the other grid operators ask me, but who are the ones who want to have access? So the very broad aim of this study has also been to convince the other European grid operators that there are companies on the market who need access to energy data, and at the moment this data is not accessible in a reasonable, easy, simple, secure way. But besides this broad aim, the concrete aim of this study has been to give an overview of what are the use cases services that need energy data, what data do they need, and why do they need it? Because it might be that they just need it just like that, but our aim should be to provide that data that is really relevant for their business. And then also to understand how do they access the data right now, whether it's already easy and simple for them, or do they really need help in this area. As actually Rosella also in the previous presentation mentioned that we, with our consortium of the European grid operators who are working in the area of opening up energy data, so we see that opening up energy data really initiates new services and products. This leads to higher competition, more renewables, more efficient energy use, and also activates and integrates the consumer into the energy market, because he or she, in the end, the normal person is the one who owns the data, who has the meter, and who generates the data. So and in the end, we should have a control over our data and then control over the services that we use and to whom we let or allow process our data. And this all, again, what Rosella very clearly mentioned, facilitates the transition to a greener energy system and a carbon neutral economy aimed by the strategies and also activities of European Union 2050. So the main use cases and problems that we came up with while doing this study. So I didn't mention it before, but in total, we around 120 companies participated in this study. So, and with around 80, we did interviews, meetings to get a better understanding of their data access needs. And so these are the use cases that we distinguished. Of course, this is not a final list. There can be more. And these can be seen as broad use cases. So under these use cases are several smaller use cases and services that are actually provided. So first of all, energy supply retail. Then we came up with a group of solutions that provide energy monitoring, benchmarking, and remote management of buildings or appliances. The different flexibility services ranging from aggregators to vehicle-to-grid solutions, renewable energy trading and proof of origin platforms. So these are the platforms which trade with real energy, but also some of them with renewable energy certificates, and they are aimed both to residential users or corporate users. So integration simplifiers. These are the companies that we also had in our piloting program, who are the ones who actually benefit from the situation that the data is locked. So they develop custom solutions with the data hubs where data is stored. And then on the other side, they provide a more unified solution or an easier, simpler solution for the different energy services who want to access this data. Then there are renewable energy investment calculators, which basically allow you to, as a residential user or as a company or industrial user, to basically they suggest taking into account your location, your how big is your home or how big is your industrial facility. So what would be the most beneficial renewable energy solution, taking into account all these factors. Then there are energy package calculators, comparison tools, which are actually come from the of course, there have been on the market previously also different ones of these tools, but now the European Union has pushed this solution in the electricity directive and oblige member countries to come up with non-biased comparison tools. And these kind of tools where users can see all the different electricity packages that are available to them and compare them on a very equal basis. And then finally, we also distinguished different tools that estimate CO2 emissions from energy usage. So as said, this is not a final list, and we will share this report with you all. And there you can see that under these groups, there are also sub-services or sub-use cases that are even more interesting than the broad ones here. So what are the main problems that the study actually showed us? It showed that quite often, if data is allocated in different hubs or in different information systems, then many integrations are needed. Some companies, what they do is if they want to access a new market, they just buy a local company to get the cost, to get their client pool, and also to have also to use the integrations that have already been made by this company. Or another possibility is also to install own devices, and this is very much the case with services that need real-time data, because quite often the certified meters don't provide real-time data yet. This all actually provides or creates market barriers that decreases competition and switching of service providers. So if I already have a service provider who has installed me an infrastructure of devices, then I might not be very, so to say, happy to change them because I have to do this investment again. Or if I'm locked with one, I don't know, aggregator, it might be much harder to switch to another because of these barriers. So this in the end might also lead to higher prices of energy services, not only energy prices, but also prices of the services related with energy efficiency and management. So there is also limited harmonization of standards of data formats and access. And what we also saw in many of the like web tools or apps that are provided for users, so without automated data access, so that the data, so I log in and the system is able to identify my metering points right away and also take this accurate metering data or my metering data history. Users have to know it by heart, so they have to look it up from somewhere and they have to insert it manually, which might create mistakes, and in the end it might lead to an inaccurate service. So it would be much easier for those kind of services to receive this data in a machine readable way to provide a more easier service to the user and also more accurate service to the user. So this is my final slide, and it is about the main conclusions. So conclusions regarding the piloting program, but also conclusions regarding the market needs study. So definitely both of them emphasize a clear need for a pan-European solution. Why I have this S in brackets is that there might be many solutions. So in the end, it is important that they are interoperable. So we don't know yet whether it's one solution or many. But we also came up with some functionalities and properties that are needed for this kind of a pan-European solution. So first of all, there have to be standardized, harmonized standards of data formats and data access. Security, trust, and non-repudiation has to be ensured. This can be ensured through authentication, through public key infrastructures, through encryption, but there also have to be processes, requirements, regulations in place to support the technical tools. So, as said, authentication for users, so that I log into a system and it should be able to, or a service, and it's able to identify that it's me and also identify the metering points connected to me is very relevant, but also the authentication of the service providers on a technical term. So in the back end, it is important because it has to be very transparent in the end who uses my data, for what kind of purposes, and that I've really given a consent to this. So a consent management system is also a very important condition for this kind of a Europe-wide platform. Then, as we saw also with both with the pilots, but also with interviewing more of the energy companies that need energy data. So besides metering data, they're also interested in other kinds of data formats. So therefore, easy integration of additional data sources and information systems is very relevant. And what we also did in our, and actually what is an outcome or conclusion from the piloting program, and we had our piloting environment in a cloud-based system, so cloud-based and cloud agnostic solutions, so that they are able to be used in different cloud systems. They simplify integration and administration and also enable the scaling of using these services and the businesses. So this definitely simplifies integration and administration of these kind of European solutions. So thank you very much for your attention, and I'm very grateful. And as a final word, I would like to thank all the great operators from Europe who helped, who supported our piloting initiative, and who have been supporting us in the wider idea of and activities in opening up energy data in Europe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kaija, for a very, very good overview of the problems faced by market participants and also of the pilots themselves.